Hi, it's so good to see you all. So many familiar faces from across the workshops. I'm Madhav. Aditi just said, design geek. Like I became a design geek because of Rajesh's workshop. So before the workshop, like I was in the workshop in 2013. It was a 2 month long workshop, I think, when that was part of Rajesh's thesis as well. So it was crazy fun. Like we were in a very small town private college where um, you know, the only ambition that people had as an engineer was to get into Infosys because this company just manufactures people for software companies. So that was the goal before the workshop. And within those 2 months, we tried so many different things, learned so many things. And right out of the workshop, I was like, I need to start a company, find a problem, try to solve it. Then we got into, right in college itself, we just dived headfirst into starting a company and it failed bad. And we kind of learned a lot from it. In like, okay, so there is a lot of things that like during the process itself over a couple of years, while in college itself, I got to learn what goes into being an entrepreneur, like finding out a problem that people would actually, pay money for, or actually solving someone's, something that is already existing but doesn't really do a good job at it. So tried that, failed, and I was like, okay, there is still a skill gap. Like I can't do this alone. I can't do this with just one or two kids from my college who can just do it, or all have to skill up together. So what we started doing was like inspired from Rajesh's workshop. We started learning together. We started creating our own communities where each of us will be teaching each other on different things. Like every single, people from every single branch used to come together and pitch in things that uh, they were good at or they were interested in. And then we used to call it mutual learning. And from that, we started an innovation club, set up a lab, got the college to fund a lab and an incubation center for kids like me to actually start up companies. That helped. And after that, after my first company failed, I went into trying to building one thing where I could actually make money out of the only skill set I had that could sell while I have no experience was basically designing. So found like 20 kids in my college who did the same thing. And then we just grouped together and started doing branding stuff all across Kerala. And turned out into a community rather than a company with people branching out from I started meeting people across the different states, and then finally instead of being running it as a profit organization, it just spread out across, and it was great. And during that process, I got into one of the hackathons where in Bangalore happened, where accidentally some of the people here in this call were there, and we didn't know each other back then. So we all met at this hackathon, and then was surprised by a certain technology, which was virtual reality. Now the metaverse boom that came in. So with that, I was like, okay, this is the thing where I can do engineering and design at the same time. Let's do that. Let's put all of my skills into one thing, and then try to solve problems using that. But that was a bad idea as well because I was just very focused on just trying to solve problems with one particular technology rather than figuring out what the problem is and finding the right solution for it. So after that, I was like, okay, let's try something else. Went into research with a government agency for like 6 months. Like, okay, now I understand how people think and how to, figure out problems, how to get to solutions, how to do the research part of things. And then the next thing that I did not have was process, like how do companies actually function. So I worked with a couple of startups, and I worked with an MNC for a couple of years. And then like, okay, so MNCs just have money and they have people, and there are too many hierarchies. If you want to get something out, like for someone like me, it would be a lot harder. If I was directly on the ground, I could just bring it out easily. So left the MNC and then started another company, which actually went pretty well for a couple of years. It was bringing in all, like I had met so many good people. I just got everyone together. I had a co-founder, and it was called Odin Reality. We were working on mixed reality technologies. Like before the metaverse boom, we were making our own metaverse back then. We found out all the problems that could fail, which Facebook is facing right now. Uh, and then
Wow.
and we know this problem existed way back then. I mean, and then I was like, after a while, we couldn't actually make it work. So we were like, okay, we are running out of funds. So let's bootstrap. Let's just figure, if someone else already has a problem, let's solve it for them. So we reached out like randomly. We used to cold mail companies, and then we just figure like do a basic research, and we were like, hey, we could just I'll help you fix your pipeline, like engineering pipeline in this way. Why not try this? And finally, Panasonic Japan apparently reached out, and they were like, okay, we have one guy in Kerala. Just can you go meet him? And then we met this guy, and he was like, "Okay, we have a problem. It was in Panasonic Japan R&D facility. They had a problem which they wanted to solve, and they were ready to put us funds. They were like, okay, I have the skill. Like my team has the skill set to do it. We kind of gave them a solution, and then it's in the process of patents and stuff right now. And after that, we were like, okay, enough of solving others' problems. Let's solve the problem in the industry that I want to work in. And that's when the company I'm working with, like I'm working with Geo right now, and it's a faction called Geo Tesseract. One of some of the like some MIT alumni started it. Kshitij, like most of you might, like some of you, at least some of you might know Kshitij Mara. So I work for him right now
He used to teach with
as
me,
a
yeah.
yeah, he used to teach with you, and that was also during the workshop. Oh, by the way, Kshitij does not know that I am your student. By the way, even now.
Is it?
I haven't told him
Okay.
that yet. I
Okay.
haven't told him that yet.
Okay.
So currently, so since it's geo backed, like we have the resources to actually find and solve the problems ourselves rather than have a big company make the base structure for us. Now we are building the whole mixed reality ecosystem from the ground up, so that everything that I envisioned or people like me envisioned, what we could do using this technology, whatever problem we had envisioned can be done using the base framework. So it's always like, we are building this platform for problem solvers and at the same time getting it to the consumer. So yeah, like
Wow.
it's been a crazy journey. And even in between, like when I was working, like, when we didn't have people who needed the tech, needed the skill set, had the skill set that we needed, we used to create our own communities for it. Just reach out to, there is always startup mission, which was Kerala startup mission is very, help startups grow. And they said, I'll give you a free space and then you bring people. I brought people and it was not going great. And then they were like, okay, what software are you teaching? What skill set do you need? I was like, Unity. Okay, reach out to Unity. We reached out to Unity and they were like, okay, we'll give you goodies for free for every event that you'll start. And then eventually we got about 1,000 people to start get into this technology, and Kerala became one of the biggest, other
Yeah.
than Bangalore and the metro cities, of course, Kerala is very strong in terms of the domain I'm working on as well now. I mean, like, it's just a matter of just starting the domino and then the ripple effect just goes on, right? So it all
Wonderful.
started with the workshop.